information?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Okay, good. So really thank you for the intro, Matt. I've got a few years, like 7 or 8 years background in chatbots. It's a personal passion of mine. I've been always interested in, I love computers. I find that computers have, one of the cool things that they have is they've got a lot of power. They can do a lot for us as people. But I often enough have the that picture, you know, that where somebody's screaming at their monitor. That is definitely a picture that is in my brain regular, where I'm frustrated, or why it's so hard to get the computer to do what you want it to do. So that's a bit of my passion for the whole chatbot topic. So I'll give a bit of an overview of why chatbots are interesting and why people look at chatbots, or what the whole thing is. So to that, I'll do it very briefly, but I'll do a quick overview just to give that a bit of a background. So what is the history of human-computer interfaces, at least in the last, whatever, let's 2 or 3 decades, and why this whole chatbot stuff is so interesting? So usually people, you know, some people might still remember DOS days or good old screen days. You had an interface, you had to use your keyboard, navigate, type in things, and try to get your computer to do what you wanted to do. Or even better, old school Windows, I mean, this is really old school Windows, desktop app. Whatever you want to do, you have to go and find where to click and type in information and do things. And then that didn't really change with mobile apps. I mean, we just did it now on mobile. It looks a little bit prettier. But the problem with all those 3 interface types that we commonly use to is we have something in our head what we want to do. Whatever, let's say in the library, I want to find a book, or I want to find some information, I want to do something. And it doesn't matter if it's a website, mobile app, or whatever kind of stuff. I have to look at the app or whatever is provided, and I have to find out where can I do this. And then I will have to go through steps that another designer has put together, believing and hoping that I would follow those steps, and that's how I want to interact with. And that's where we've got now progression with that whole chatbot stuff. The big difference from chatbots to the other technology is that you, as the user, define the interface. You say what you want to say, what you want the computer to do for you, and the computer, if the chatbot is well designed, will respond accordingly and provide you what you want. And at the end of the day, this whole chatbot stuff really is a computer simulating a conversation experience with you. And that's literally all they do at the end of the day. They simulate. Like, be very honest and very clear, it is fake. The computer at the moment, the technology is nowhere near that the computer actually understands what you want, what you're talking about. It is going to read. When you say, let's look for tickets, it's going to say, this person said, let's look for tickets. In my system configured is that this sentence means that they want to search for airline tickets, hence trigger functionality to airline tickets. There's a bit more magic to it. It's a little bit more, I'm describing it very rough, but at the end of the day, they don't really understand what it is. Now, some people might then immediately think, oh, well, that's kind of crappy, you know, so they're not really that smart, not anything. I want you to remember that every book you read and every movie that you watch is a simulation as well. Most of them are not documentaries. They're not real. That's not real life. And you still like to read a good book, and you still like to watch a good movie. And every marketing slide that you have seen in your life is also usually not 100% real, and you still absorb the information. So just because something is not 100% real does completely not mean that it's bad and it's not useful. So that's technically what a chatbot is. Now, going a little bit of, so what are the use cases? I mean, what can you use them for? Like just to get an overview, is classic. What most people have first gotten in contact with chatbots is the Siri moment. You know, when Apple brought out Siri and people had like this personal assistant on their mobile phone and suddenly got to experience, oh wow, you know, you can actually talk to the computer, to the mobile phone, and it does something for it. So that's a classic common use case still of chatbots. There's a lot, obviously, Google Home, Amazon, whatever, those kind of guys, Samsung investing a lot in that. Then it's the voice controller, the smart speaker, the Amazon Alexa, Google Home, turning on your radio, your music, turning off your lights, maybe searching for you, whatever, on Wikipedia, what exactly some animal is or something, because that's what your kid just asked you. All those kind of information that they do. And obviously there's some mergers. I mean, there's a personal assistant on your smart speaker as well, which can then create an appointment for you and remind you and whatever kind of stuff. Then the most common use case, let's be very honest and very blunt, in enterprises is usually for employee and customer support. And that support could be before you buy something, so figuring out why there's the cheaper insurance rate here, why they're the best insurer, best super fund, why this product, and what is the warranty for this product, can I get it in yellow as well, and whatever kind of stuff. How much does the shipping cost, all that kind of stuff. So typical pre-sales kind of engagement. Can be B2C, so certainly to the end customer. It can be B2B. We had that as well quite a number of times, where it was like workshop owners that didn't need the normal customer support, but that were still engaging via chatbot to get certain information or order parts and things like that. Can be business to employee, your IT support, HR support kind of thing around I want to take leave or some kind of special leave, or let's say parental leave, or the thing I want to order a new IT part. In all those domains, chatbots, it's like either post-sales or pre-sales support, post-sales support, or just internal support around any kind of topic where people want support. And yeah, also obviously government kind of related kind of things. Then engagement and use. So one of the next presentation is going to be about using bots in the marketing space. So that's where it's not directly a support. It's where you want to engage people. You want them to interact with you. I had that organization I worked before where we had a business report chatbot that kind of transformed the boring normal business report into something a bit more exciting that you could engage with, news, support, those kind of things. Obviously entertainment and toys in general. There's a kind of funny chatbot that you can talk to where you have to keep a cat alive, and the cat seems to be hell-bent on killing itself. So there's a fun entertainment kind of thing, so in toys. So that's one of the use cases. In health, so those are the health bot to help you, remind you taking your pills or whatever kind of stuff. And a question about COVID-19, obviously, currently. There's tons of use cases to it. So that's why when I say chatbot, it's not, I cannot say, so yeah, what do I use a chatbot for? A chatbot at the end of the day is a piece of technology. It is just another new human-computer interface, exactly like the mobile app was, and exactly like the mobile app, it has millions of use cases. Like you have your mobile game, you've got your mobile banking app, you've got your personal journey, whatever kind of, you get all kind of mobile apps. It's the same thing for chatbots. It is upon you as the person who wants to build or use a chatbot to come up with why this might actually make sense, why it might make sense to use a chatbot versus maybe a mobile app versus something else. You're like using a chatbot for reading you a business report and lots of data points and whatever kind of stuff of bar chart is obviously terrible use. But using a chatbot to do an interactive storytelling for a business report is, on the other hand, something really useful. It's where people start interacting, and it's not the boring PDF with all kind of pretty pictures, but you know, where something is a bit happening. So you have to find your use case. And I very often use the term chatbot, but there's chatbot, it can be via messaging service, via voice, can be a web chat. There's, yeah, usually those are, or your smart speaker or whatever. So there's a whole bunch of different channels. At the end of the day, the computer there is simulating a conversation with you and trying to help you do something. Admittedly, I'm taking a slide from our system to explain how it works, but roughly in general, that's how chatbots work. Most of them from a fundamental technology. So you've got the channels of where the conversation, what the request from the user comes in, whatever they want to do, book a new airline ticket, be entertained, get some kind of news, whatever is that now via WhatsApp, if it's on the website, on a chat, if it's on a phone line, whatever it is, however that kind of stuff comes in. Then that information comes in, and if it's speech, it will be transformed to text, and the text will be sent to your what is called NLU, the natural language understanding, or NLP. That doesn't really matter, that part. That's a little bit where the magic is happening. Let's put it that way. It's where the computer is trying to interpret and find out what did this person say, what did they want, and what information were they giving me that I can now work with. So I want to book a flight from Sydney to Frankfurt. So the NLU would then interpret booking flight is the intent, is what the person want to do. They gave me already information from so the starting point Sydney to where Frankfurt, and that's the information that is given then to the conversational logic. So somehow there's like, if it's not an FAQ bot where the answers directly well, whatever it is, somewhere a logic will then say, okay, what is the answer? What needs to be done now as a next step? So in case of flight booking, the system would now have to say, oh, okay, cool, they give me already that, but I kind of need to know the dates when they're flying and when they want to return. So now I have to ask the question back. Instead of being able to answer yet, I have to ask the question back. Then I've got this kind of back and forth until I've got enough information, and then I can provide them what they want. So that's where you need backend integration. So that's why we've got all this third-party integration stuff listed there at the back, because at the end of the day, if you want a smart bot, it's like a smart support person. If you don't give them access to any kind of system, what they can do is very limited. The more systems they have, the more information they know about the customer, who the customer is, or did they recently buy something from us and now they're calling for support or whatever, they want a product manual, then it's probably about the product that they just recently purchased from us. So I can, if I know more about them, I can make the conversation much smarter with them, and I can do an interact and do things much better and smarter for them. And that's just a very high level overview of the technology. If people want to ever know more, just ping me on LinkedIn or whatever, and I can run you through much more. Now, from the story of maybe I should have stayed with the slide before. From the story of where I come, where my use case come from is so I the last time I joined Bosch was for the chatbot domain, and what we did and what we want to do is we knew that there were lots of activities. So Bosch, being a humongous organization, over 400,000 employees, the first thing we did is actually find out how many activities there are already. And what you will find in nearly any large organization, that usually somebody has started already building and trying out a chatbot somewhere. It is really common is your support team might to try to do that. Then maybe your IT support team, your HR team might have tried something. Somebody usually has tried something. And at Bosch, when I started, there were already 40 different initiatives running around. Hence, as everybody starts and every experiments, they bring in all kind of different technologies, experiment with their own process and stuff like that. So one of the first things we did is build up a center of excellence to kind of find out what is going on, bringing people together, understanding more what the use cases are, which were really the whole range. It was the external facing support, the internal facing support. It was new product features, new product innovation. Obviously, Bosch provides a lot of hardware, interacting with the washing machine or whatever and stuff like that. So there were lots of use cases running around, and we brought them first together and consolidated and then looked at consolidating things. And what people always like to do when it's a new technology, they like to focus just on technology. And that's one of the first things that we try to steer exactly against. Technology is very important. You have to choose the right technology, but you also have to investigate into the people, the right people that you need, investigate the right process and stuff like that. So this is kind of boring in some ways, but it was one of our first learnings to not underestimate, like people classically like to do, focus just on the solution, focus just on technology. No, you have to have the right people in the mix that actually can help you build the bots, can maintain and operate them. You have to have the right processes doing things. So things that we did is like provide a template for project managers that was on top the normal project management methodology with the, what are the biggest gotchas, what are the biggest, most important steps you need to do to implement a chatbot? What is it that you need to know? So just things like that to handle on. I won't reveal everything. There was obviously all kind of stuff that we did at Bosch I won't be able to reveal, but that's normal. That's kind of stuff that you do as a large organization if you really take this kind of stuff serious. So what were the benefits that we really tried to achieve, and what really came out for us? So one of the things was obviously cost efficiency, and cost efficiency is a little bit, is not the perfect term. So obviously you want to also save in the processing. So you want to save contact center staff of for replying costs, or in our case, it was very often not actually looking to let go people, but actually looking to handle things where we would otherwise have to hire more people, which we didn't have, which we didn't want to invest, or there was, like, for the use case, not much more money there. Things like people have a problem with something, with whatever, they've got a problem with a machine. The first 5 minutes normally in a telephone call is, let's find out what the product number for your thing is, or whatever kind of stuff, the serial number or something like that. You don't need a human to do that kind of interaction. A chatbot is more than capable to tell you, hey, look there, this is it. Oh no, the number you type is only 5 digits, it should be 10 digits. Have a look at that. That probably looked like the wrong number and stuff like that. That kind of stuff to take away and prepare the rest of the conversation for the human agent is something that is really very, very cost efficient, but it's also not bad for the end customer as well, because waiting for 10 minutes to get a support call finally with your internet provider, while the bot could have already done all the normal triaging of, do we even have an outage in that area, whatever, can I do a ping test to you, can I connect to your modem, whatever kind of stuff. A chatbot can do all those kind of things. So there's a lot that they can do that can help from a cost efficiency. Scale, where it's not possible, too expensive. A classic one is obviously call center spikes. You've got an outage, whatever you're a utility provider, you've got an outage. You've got over lunchtime always where millions of people call. Right now, obviously, governments with the COVID thing, lots of calls for certain things. So where you just couldn't put that many people, agents somewhere in the back room just waiting for that kind of spike, that's where chatbots really help. Then another one that we looked at and we had is the non-embarrassment factor, that I've seen it in a number of organizations. Is there's situations where you actually do not want to really talk to a human yet. It could be bullying, it could be whatever, something personal, health or something like related. We had that for a case for where it's organization selling legal services, but people didn't feel yet immediately ready to talk to a lawyer or somebody in the domain. They wanted to first find out the basics, what's going on. Super funds, those kind of, often enough, people don't actually want to yet talk to a human. They want to talk later to a human, but they also don't like your online forms and online applications and all that kind of stuff. They would still like to talk to somebody, just not with a real person. Maybe not at the first step. So that's where chatbots really help, especially like in those kind of health situations and things like that, to help with the first initial steps. The last one is a voice API. It's a little bit more tricky to understand. Is when, for example, you would like to find out which workshop, a car workshop, would have an appointment free for tomorrow afternoon. You need something urgent. It is currently not possible to create a mobile app to find that out, because most workshop owners just simply have no online ticket, no online booking system, so you wouldn't be able to find it out. But a chatbot can call 5, 10, 50 different workshop owners in your area, to find out the information from them and provide that information for you and send that in. So there's stuff where voice basically is still the way to get to information. So chat. So that's chat. Oops. Okay, excellent stuff. Wrap on minutes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I wanted to bring that all together. So that's the stuff that some of the key takeaways that I learned, and I learned at Bosch, but also in other spaces when it comes to that. So we had our benefits, we had our reasons why we did it, what the use case we did. The key takeaways. First one is we just had a discussion with 2 people this morning about it. Read up on the domain before, learn about it before you start building your first bot, because there's still so many crappy bots out there. And quite often it's a bit embarrassing in that space where you really think there's enough documentation out there. Classic chatbot fails of, I didn't provide any human handover. I didn't provide what the actual scope, whatever, what the bot did, all kind of things where avoid becoming just yet another chatbot failure. Read up a little bit on it. Just give it a few minutes in those kind of things. And then put that in. Keep a focus on the user outcome. It's a classic mistake in a chatbot domain. It is really easy. You've got first the idea, this is what I'm going to provide to the customer. This is really great. Then you do the project, and the project becomes more and more on how do I save money in the whole process. The user experience is completely forgotten about that, or what I want as an organization is basically pushed in the forefront, and I forget what the user outcome actually is supposed to be. And that absolutely breaks. It breaks more with chatbots than it will break with anything else. The whole chatbot space is the most sensitive human to computer interface, more than mobile apps and anything else. People will be forgiving for all those other kind of things, but they will not be as forgiving when it comes to chatbots. Another key takeaway is think about the end in mind. It's a classic for people to think at the beginning, oh yeah, I want to build an FAQ bot, all those standard questions of when is our office open, when can I return the book, when can I get that kind of stuff, what is your return policy, whatever, that kind of stuff. And they want to just bring an FAQ bot because people for some reason don't look at the website, don't find the FAQ, never read it, whatever kind of stuff. So they want to use a chatbot for that. That is nice, and it's quite often a first step. But if you build a chatbot, you will very quickly find out that the FAQ doesn't actually really solve what you want to do. Quite often you have to ask a question back before you can answer a question. The people actually want to extend the booking for their book right now on the phone, and they didn't want just you to tell where they can go on the website to do that. They want to do it right now, or change the address, or any of those kind of things. So, and why I'm saying that is the problem is that the technology that helps you to build a simple FAQ bot is not the technology that will help you automate a process, like even the simple one from an address change to whatever, running a complete insurance claims processing submission on a chatbot. You can do that kind of stuff. It's cool, but you need a different technology for that. You need a technology that can do far more on the conversational part, far more on the integration stuff. And if you invest previously in the FAQ technology, your problem will be that you will be stuck and you have to rebuy purchasing software. You can take that with a grain of salt, saying, oh yeah, I'm from a vendor perspective, but you can speak also just to the community that really is a classic one. This is on actually I've taken nearly pretty much life from Gartner, where I had a discussion with one of the analysts, and they brought exactly that. There was an experience that I had in a few other organizations as well. So really think about the end in mind, what you want to do. Or multi-channel. You might say, oh, first I'm only going to do Facebook, and then later like, oh yeah, but kind of we want to do the same thing on WhatsApp as well, and we do it on a website. And you want to think about, if you want to go multi-channel, other channels in there, can I support that with my technology? So, then the last one is run the bot later as well. So that is a quite common one. Everybody's focusing on just building the solution, but they keep forgetting that they always operate and run the solution afterwards. Do they have any kind of thing that does any kind of versioning? Do they've got any kind of testing? any of those kind of things included? Can multiple people work on that? Operational. So yeah, those are some key takeaway that I had that I wanted to share. So maybe I was even too quick in my presentation. I tried to time, was told me 15 minutes I have to be finished.